70 have been working as a pedagogist in the educational experience known in the world as Reggio Emilia approach. I want to underline that is the only one with the name of a city and the name of approach, not just as a method. What would be interesting also for our discussion is that, thank you, we've been developing a network in many countries all over the world, more than 130. The title of my speech is about education in early childhood education in Reggio Emilia and in the world. The first reflection that I would like to share with you is that the human society, in all their differences and through different eras, have always had education at heart. Education essentially means, in the past, as the ability to transmit knowledge, values, skills, competencies from one generation to another. The mostly took the place within a culture. Schools, public schools, are a recent invention, a tool, a meaning, what more? Today, in the era of global economy, the discourse on education considers school as one of the main protagonists, as it is the place of formal education. So, to talk about education, you need, in my opinion, to talk also about school as well. United Nations data suggests that the world has made significant progress in the participation in education. But it is important to add to the quantitative data a reflection, not only on the data, but also on the criteria on which the data collection is based. We have in front of us a big issue. Can education be measured with a quantitative criteria only? Since 19th century, the main goals for school were teaching the language and skills that enable people to be committed to their work. The school, but especially the preschool on which I will be focused, preschool especially has a central element as evidence of policies, not only towards children, but also towards women and work. Preschool were, in some way, consequences. Preschool is strongly related to the economy, but also towards women and work. The 2019 OECD report says that the services is closely related to the increase in women participation in the workforce. Even if it's very good and relevant, and I know very well how relevant it is, this vision prevents us from understanding and developing early childhood education and schooling, first of all, as a primary right of the child, as a citizen from the birth in every place it occurs. So, some more questions. What is the role, the meaning of schools, preschools nowadays? To educate the citizen of the present, to educate the present, the citizen of the future, to educate the future. These are all questions that we consider that we are facing. Global and national data on access to educational services are talking about a possible world average of early childhood attendance is around the 45%, but with a very wide range between Saudi Arabia and Sweden. What does it mean and which kind of policy? The discussion this morning has been very important. Some more data that you will find in my report tend to support and make more evident that there is something that is changing, but offer us still some very big challenge that invite us to understand more about the big challenge that we have in front of us. Child participation in school is an increasing phenomenon, especially in OECD countries. From 2005 to 2017, the enrollments of children aged 3 to 5 years on OECD countries increased from the 76 to the 86%, no doubt. But what does it mean? We have a question, many questions for the future. One particularly, sorry, I made a mistake, too much. A question for the future, the quality of education. Early childhood schooling in the world, in Europe, is increasing, but it opens up the theme of quality. The issue of quality versus quantity. Quantities is an element of quality. What is quality in education? Quantity and quality can be combined. It's been for us in my reality, Reggio Emilia, where I live, and this experience started in 1963, has been always the big challenge. Now, we would like to offer you some of our reflection, just to continue our discussion and the future beautiful vision. A school of quality is a school that, for us, cultivating the participation of family and community, decided to put the child and their relationship at the center. Look at the circle. The circle is a context. The connection with the cultural, social context is evident, but there is not one protagonist, but the protagonists are the relationship between the children, the teachers, the parents, and the community. School is defined a system of these three subjects. The key words are interdependencies and reciprocity. It's an ecology of education. Towards a quality education, again, means putting the child and the children and their relationship at the center of it. Putting the child and their relationship at the center implies, first of all, listening, the pedagogy of listening. Listening to the children to get to know and to understand them. Pedagogy of listening. You have an example in that picture. The male and the child, they are looking at each other in reciprocity. Listening is not a passive verb. It's a verb that recognizes value to what is in front of me. To listen intended as a reciprocal. Listening as a reception and availability to the others. Listening, the pedagogy of listening. Based on these criteria, we have built the school in the years more than about 70, that are places of the community, and our interpretation of this school as places for the community. But we had among a mayor that asked us, can you develop a school regio approach under a baobab tree? We said yes, because it's not necessarily the environment, but are some key values that can allow us to create a community. Some images can allow you to see what is for us to develop a preschool, an infant order center. But first of all, at this point, it is necessary for us to share with you something that probably has allowed us to be a good tool for many countries, many places all over the world, inspired by what we are trying to develop. No franchising, an approach. An approach means a way of interpreting some question. For us, the most important has been, which image of the child do we have? Do you have? Which image of the human being do we have? No more empty vase or something like a piece of plastic of clay, but a competent child from birth. The child is competent in what? To learn, to love, to exist. And as usual, I ask the help. A teacher did it, not for us, but to understand more who is a competent child. Look carefully, there is something magic now. They use 100 languages that the children look like. Did you notice there is nothing in his hand, but they are able to play? It's a unique piece. And tonight, if someone wants to, I have more. That's what means, but this competent child, we continuously try to encounter, to allow him to be visible, because the competent child is, the competent human being is in our eyes, if we are able to see them. So, qualitative school, because they are welcoming, valuing differences without indifference. Therefore, based on listening, interdependence, integration, and trust in the child and in the human being, involving families and communities, their culture, their skill, in the perspective of an encountering, educating community. 100 languages of children, not only verbal, written, but mathematic, but 1,000 of languages, 1,000 million of approach to life and to the meaning of life. A broad educational alliance among us with our children and among us with the parents as teachers. The media, the computer, they are only a tool. A very important, unique, can be dangerous. But if you learn with the others, thanks to the other, can be something really new because it takes a meaning, to give meaning to the media and also to this kind of tools. And now we have to encounter our way of listening in terms of pedagogical listening. And is documentation. That is not a collection of documents. It's a word very well known in sciences, but documentation for us is, first of all, a process, a way of documenting learning processes. Documentation also can be a very unique way of assessment process for assessing the learning processes of the children, not only testing, but something in which they can be involved and be protagonists together. Children, not only our children, student, adolescent, and human being in general. Documentation as a scientific process, because could be a way that can be put for evidences closer to the quantitative approach. This could be another possibility. Some traces of this concept of documentation that we have been developing during the years that put in evidence how learning is unique. Here there are many wonderful scientists, unique process that different from each of us, but learning in a group, and learning is a group, could be very important and key for the social and for the way in which you become citizen. The concept of interdependency cannot be taught when they are 20 years old. To observe is a key, to document, make possible to share. What is possible here for these children that are analyzing and assessing the drawing of their own friends and partners in research is the key is that they are in some way assessing, evaluating, and learning from their own mistake. If you look in the down, you can see three different ways in which the three children has answered to the question, are you able to draw a ring around the roses? They say yes, but these are the result. From here, you can, with them, assess, evaluate to understand if there are mistakes and grow with them. So many other possibilities. This is another way, cognitive democracy. We can talk at your left or right, your left. There are the way in which a teacher are learning from the learning processes of the children. To be a teacher means to learn from your students. Many more examples, but it takes time. And what has been key for us has been to share our reflection, our dialogue with other schools in Italy and all over the world, to welcome, especially to become, if it's possible, a symbol for all the organizations that want to invest and support a qualitative early childhood education all over the world. This is why in 2019, at the 30th anniversary of the Convention of the Right of the Children, as a symbol of our relationship with the world, we wanted to offer our city, our experience, to all the children and the organization in the world, and based on the Article 29, you have the right to an education that develops your personality, your skill, and respect for the rights, values, culture of other people and the environment, we welcome the drawings of children from the refugees camp all over the world, and they became our flags. 100 flags for rights. There are many other things to do for them. This morning has been fantastic to listen to you. There are many proposals in this room, but that has been a very meaningful moment for us and for the city of Reggio Emilia that has been investing the 20% of the budget for early childhood education, but not for those children, but starting from those children for children all over the world and human beings. So that's why we want to close, and it's amazing because when this morning I listened the proverb, the African proverb, that the Pope, our quote, it takes love. It takes a whole village to raise a child. We like to add another concept that we love a lot. We need children to improve a community, whether local or global, because we are deeply convinced that the children, starting from the moment of the birth, can offer us the best of the essence of humanity. So to invite us out of any rhetoric or romantic approach to consider the children also as our inspirational guide could be possible in a room and in a conference like this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carla, for this presentation that was very enlightening and also gained 3 minutes and diminished our delay. In Germany, we say punctuality is the politeness of kings. You proved a true Italian queen. So I may ask now